Hi everyone, this is a tutorial on how to make a research project mind map. So now that you've completed your proposal and your Lotus diagram, we need to go into more detail about how you're going to actually plan your research to answer your question. So a mind map helps to show that you have planned your research processes, which you're being assessed on as part of your folio. Firstly, you need to include your question at the top of the mind map. From that, you have your branching out of your sub-questions. Now, this person only had 3 sub-questions, but you may have more or less. Therefore, you would need to have more or less columns to reflect that. So under the first sub-question, you then need to have a box about potentially information that you may already know about that sub-question. So for this person, they have looked at the types of animal testing, and then they've also got some questions that they think they need to ask themselves to be able to answer this question here. So what is the process that animals go through, and is it a process supported by many, and is it still common in today's society? Now, under that, I guess, breakdown of the first sub-question, this person has then put in another box looking at the specific research processes that they plan on using to help find an answer to this sub-question. So they've decided that they're going to use internet research as well as videos and documentaries. They've then gone in to explain why they need to use internet research and how it might help them to find information. The same with their videos and documentaries as well. Then, and the final and last box in this column is about how it relates back to their capability development. So this person has chosen ethical capability, therefore they've addressed which of those dot points they think they will develop when researching this sub-question. So if we have a look at the other 2 sub-questions, you'll notice that the research processes aren't always going to be the same, which gives you more detail that you wouldn't have had in your proposal. And it gives more evidence for the marker, which is myself, to see how you go about planning your research processes and practices. And again, you need to justify why an interview or a survey is going to help you answer this question here. So this is another example of a mind map. Now this person had 5 sub-questions. So again, depending on how many sub-questions you have, your mind map will look different. So they've started with firstly, what is erythropoietin, which is EPO, and they've then added some questions here about what they think they need to include to probably answer that sub-question. They've then linked that to types of sources that they will use. Again, being specific about sources. So rather than just saying textbooks, they've actually talked about using biology or medical textbooks. They've looked at docs for explanations. They've also looked at websites and books by accredited medical professionals, and, if possible, to interview a sports doctor. These research processes linked to both of these, so therefore they've put in 2 arrows. So you can have the crossing over of arrows if you wish. Again, they've also talked about the capability development. So how they think they're going to develop their capability in relation to researching this part of their project. They've also put a timeline in here as well. You don't have to do that, but it might be a good way to show progression and planning of your research as well as goals. So depending on how you like to set up your research project mind map, it doesn't have to be the same as this one or the other one that I showed you, but it does have to have those key criteria that I have pointed out in the last one as well as this one.